Danielle Gilbert. Thanks for joining me today here on ecountrylifestyle.com. We're going to make some peppercorn pork chops today. Rest those on a big pile of some creamy spinach swirled mashed potatoes. They're going to look gorgeous because all the spinach is just going to be flecked through the creamy potatoes. Around those, we're going to do some brown sugar carrots, which are very sweet. So we're going to get a lot of color contrast and a lot of different textures on our plate. Why don't we get started? Let's start off by mincing up some garlic that we can marinate our pork chops with. We're going to get these done on the grill. It's only going to take a couple of minutes once we get them marinated. And to enhance the flavor of the pork chop, we're going to use a little bit of soy sauce, a little black pepper, salt, garlic, and olive oil. And the easiest way for me to peel garlic is just to give it a nice thump like that. That way it's already half cut. You can do a lot less work. And the skin just comes right off like this. I've got a couple pretty good sized cloves right here, so I think we'll end up only using 2 for now. So we'll just go ahead and cut off these little ends here. And we'll go ahead and get these started. Now, you don't have to move so fast. I know that it might seem kind of intimidating to just kind of run the knife through like this. With a little bit of practice, you'll get it. Just kind of want to lift from your shoulder and hold the tip of the knife down onto the cutting board. And you know, the reason that I put this thin cutting board on top of the wooden one is just to eliminate any kind of cross-contamination. This one's just a lot easier to rinse, and then you don't have to worry about the wood cutting board. And if you find that your plastic cutting board slides around a little bit, you can just get a wet paper towel and put it in between, and that'll stop that from happening. Alright, so our garlic looks good. We're going to go ahead and put this in the bottom of a gallon resealable bag. This is what we're going to use to marinate our pork chops in. And you have a lot less mess. We're going to ensure that they get evenly coated because we're going to be able to kind of mishmash them around in the bag. So, let's just drop that in the bag. Kind of run your finger over the knife. Make sure you get all that garlic. Put all that hard work into it. You don't want to waste any of it, right? Alright, now I've got 4 beautiful boneless pork chops here. And when you go to the butcher, I mean, usually you can find this right in the case, but if you have to get them from the actual butcher, they're really good about trimming all the fat off and stuff like that, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Now, I'm just going to kind of season them just gently with some olive oil. And not actually too much salt here. A lot of times you want to kind of over-season your meat when you're going to put it on the grill because a lot of it will fall off on there. But we are going to be using some soy sauce to season these as well. So you can't go too nuts with the salt because the soy sauce has a lot of salt in it already. So we've got a little salt and black pepper on that side. Now we'll just go ahead and flip these guys over and make sure we can get the seasoning on the other side before we get them in our bag. And what I like to do with tongs when I'm cooking with raw meat, I just get a paper towel and I set it on the counter and put the tongs on it. Because then we don't have to clean anything up. We can just throw it away at the end. We're not getting the counter all goopy. So, a little bit more olive oil on this side of the pork chops. And guys, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's going all into a bag. It's all going to mix up in the end. Let's take a little bit more black pepper here. Alright. Now I'm going to come over here real quick and grab some soy sauce. Any kind will do. And some whole black peppercorns. Now we're using over here freshly cracked black pepper. But the peppercorns are just going to add a little extra something. And some of them will end up sticking to the pork chops and you'll get a nice peppery bite at the end. So we're probably just going to use about 2 tablespoons of these. We'll just dump those right into the bag. Along with maybe about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Just enough to get the pork chops coated. They have so much good flavor as it is. We don't want to kind of overpower them too much, but we'll help keep them moist if we get a little liquid action going on in the marinade. And then maybe just a little bit more olive oil in here, about a tablespoon. A lot of that we put on the pork chops will stay on the plate. So, all we have to do now is just get our chops in the bag. Make sure you seal it before you play with it. And leave a little bit of air in there so your pork chops have room to move. And then this is kind of the fun part. All you have to do is just kind of maneuver them around. You can see they're kind of just hanging out in all that marinade, getting nice and evenly coated. And we're only going to marinate these for about 30 minutes. So you don't really have to put them back in the refrigerator, because what I like to do is keep them room temperature. That way when I throw them on the grill, they just come right up to temperature. The outside will cook just as evenly as the inside. So why don't we just go ahead and set these aside for a little while. If you're nervous about your plastic bag, you can go ahead and rest them on a plate, but I think that we're all good for now. Alright, let's move on to our potatoes. I've started some water boiling over here just so we wouldn't have to wait too long for that to happen. And what I like to do when I'm making mashed potatoes is add some chicken stock or chicken broth, whatever you have on hand. You can get it from the store if you're very ambitious. You can make it yourself. So we'll just go ahead and add this to our water, and we'll bring this up to a boil. And you just want enough in there to cover the potatoes, just so that they cook evenly in there. So let's add a little salt to that water. And salting the water just ensures that it keeps its temperature and it'll boil a little bit more evenly. Now that we're all cleaned up from our pork chops, we're just going to peel and cut these potatoes so we can get them right into the water as soon as it's ready to go. Alright, I've got my potatoes all peeled up and rinsed. So what we're going to do is just chop them up. We'll put them all back in the colander so we can dump them all into the water at the same time. That way we make sure that they all cook evenly. And yeah, the smaller that they are, not only will they cook quicker, but they'll be easier to mash in the end. Alright, last potato. And for these big guys, since they are a little thicker, I'm going to go ahead and cut this a little bit smaller than I had done some of the previous ones. What I like to do is just stack them up like this, cut them in half, cut them in half again. You got a bunch of little pieces there. I'll show you one more time. Just put that end piece right on top, cut it in half this way, flip it around, still all in one piece. Just run your knife through it. There you go. See, we got a nice bubble going on here with our water and chicken stock mixture. And remember, we salted the water, so we'll keep it at an even boil. Alright, so once you have your potatoes in your boiling water and chicken stock, just give them a quick stir just to make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan. And we'll let those fly for just a little bit. Now, I cut up a couple carrots already, or peeled them anyway, but I'm going to show you an interesting way to peel your carrots. It's just a little bit quicker. So what I like to do is just hold your carrot vertically right here on your cutting board, and just go like this with your peeler. I don't know why. I just like to do it this way. Then it's not so precise, you just kind of get off everything all at once. So I've got one more to peel, and then I'll show you how to chop them up. And since we're feeding 4 people today, I've got 4 carrots. That's about as much carrot as I need. These are really just more of like a garnish and something additional for the plate. I mean, the pork chops are huge, and we're going to have a lot of potatoes, so it's a pretty hearty meal as it is. So when I'm cutting my carrots, I just like to cut the ends off. And I'm going to cut these at an angle. Not just because it looks really pretty, but because they have a larger surface area to cook with that way, so they'll cook up a little bit faster. We're going to make these sweet carrots, and I don't know, for some reason I just never cook with carrots too much, so I just wanted to find something different to do with them. So we're going to cook them in a little bit of butter. If they start to soften, we're going to add some brown sugar, and we're going to put these around our pile of mashed potatoes and set our pork chop on top. It's going to look really, really pretty. I've got this pan, this little sauce pot, on kind of medium-high heat. And we're just going to take maybe about a big tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half of butter, and get that in there. Kind of work it around so you know that it's coating the pot evenly. You can hear it sizzling up. So as your butter's melting, we're just going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pot, maybe about a tablespoon. You don't need too much, it's going to soak up into the carrots pretty nicely. And we'll just go ahead and drop these in there.